Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the week that was in pro wrestling. That includes AEW Dynamite, TNA Impact, and NWA Power Part 1. So, let me explain this order. I did miss the initial broadcast of NWA Power on Roku, which was their last episode on the platform. I thought I'd be able to watch it on demand, but turns out they were just gone. So I felt like I was a little bleep out of luck. So, a couple days go by. Thursday, NWO states, well, if you missed this, we're going to put the whole episode on YouTube. So I watched it after I watched Impact last night, which, honestly, that was kind of fun. So that's why the order is in the way that it is right now. It'll go back to semi-normal next week. Although they're not on Tuesday anymore. They're on Saturdays at 4 p.m., which is an interesting time slot. Hopefully it works out for them. So, yeah, we're going to get into it, starting off with AEW Dynamite. Start off with a little MJF Kevin Knight hype video that we saw last week. I'm going to say this. Whoever AEW hired to do video packages and production like this, they need a raise. Like, they have been doing a banger job at stuff like this. Well done. And that's when we go into our first matchup of the evening, and it's for the TNT title. You got MJF taking on Kevin Knight. And MJF pretty much goes right for the low blow on the rip, tosses Kevin Knight into the outside, and just pummels him for a bit, including grabbing one of the camera rigs, which that's got to be expensive if that breaks, and filming him stomping on Kevin Knight on the outside, which, honestly, I love stuff like that. It's a little goofy, but it also kind of fits MJF's character. Anyway, they get back in the ring, and they beat the heck out of each other, including Knight a couple of times going for his springboard lariat, but with MJF targeting his knee keeps buckling, so he can't really perform the moves. After UFO splash, gets a 2 count, the ref then checks on both guys. Kevin Knight attempts a big boot. It gets caught by MJF, who hits a gnarly looking leg whip. An Alabama slam for a 2 count. Then MJF rolls out of the ring, grabs the TNT title, tries to come back in and use it. The ref stops him. And as the ref is putting the title on the outside, MJF puts on his now stolen Dynamite Diamond ring. I believe that's Bandito's now. He goes to use it. Kevin Knight with the low blow. And then a roll up for Kevin Knight to pretty much steal a win. Which, honestly, I'm going to say this. MJF falling for his own stuff, like for his own strategies, is kind of awesome. Like, that's how Darby won the TNT title. The world title. That's how Kevin Knight retained the TNT title here. It's kind of poetic in a way. Like, it's MJF getting a taste of his own medicine, and it works. So post-match, MJF attacks Kevin Knight. Darby Allin then rappels down from the rafters, Sting style. Darby then slips in the ring, which I'm surprised he got all that equipment off quick. grabs MJF, hits a scorpion death drop. MJF rolls out of the ring, hightails it up the ramp. Then Darby and MJF grab microphones. And this is where things get interesting. So MJF says, real typical. Couple of cheaters hanging out with one another. Darby then kind of sneaks a peek at Kevin Knight, says, I don't care about Kevin Knight. I wasn't trying to help him. The only thing I care about is this AEW World title. So MJF retorts, give me my rematch. Darby thinks about it for a second. No, never. Until you put something on the line. But you know who does deserve a shot? Kevin Knight. Which gets a big old reaction. This brings out the challenger for this evening, Brody King. Then he stops right in front of where MJF is. They have a big old stare down. Brody gets in the ring. He says to Darby, I got some bad news for you, Kevin. Darby, you're not surviving tonight. Kevin, next week, you're not facing Darby. You're facing the new AEW World Champion. I'm loving the confidence in Brody King. And also, I'm loving the story between Darby and MJF. Because it's Darby kind of playing a little cat and mouse with MJF, which he has done too. So it's Darby defending against all comers, and then MJF putting something on the line. I'm not sure what that's going to be. Could it be like what happened with Hangman, where you can't challenge for the world title again? Is this going to be for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which, no, I hope not. Is this going to be how they reinstate Hangman Adam Page the world title division? I'm not sure. But I'm here to... I'm here to see where this goes. So then we get a little Darby Allin versus Brody King hype video, which, again, production, well done on those. So then we go to a Cage and Copeland interview where Christian Cage clearly has his arm in like a weird looking cast. I'll say that. Like it's clearly to hold his wrist together, it looks like, but it goes from like here to like here. And it's not like a normal cast. It looks kind of more technological than like a normal cast. Maybe it was just a covering to make it look that way, but it looked interesting. So you see Cage still kind of looking up and down at his arm, saying, arm feels fine. Then Cope says, FTR, we heard your demands. We accept. So then Cope turns to Cage. Cage says, that was a quick acceptance knowing you lost an I Quit match. Which is a reference to the I Quit match both of these two had before they started teaming. They were rivals for a while, and honestly, I kind of dug it. Then Cage kind of gets into Copeland's face, says, I never said it. Then Cope puts his arm around Cage's shoulder, says, and you won't have to say it ever again. I love the dynamic between these two guys. Like, y'all can hate on Copeland for whatever you want. These two guys have some of the greatest chemistry I've ever seen. Both as opponents and as a tag team. Even going back to when they were in the Brood with Gangrel during the Attitude Era. And yes, I am referencing that. So, this this thing at Double or Nothing. It's official. We're ready to go. And I'm going to say this. Inject it right into my veins. I am ready to see that utter nonsense that's about to go down. And I'm going to say this. Tony Khan, if you can, get Gangrel involved in this. Like, even if it's just to dump blood on Stokely, you gotta get Gangrel involved in this. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Next matchup is women's tag team action, as we see Jamie Hayter coming back from injury, teaming up with Alex Windsor. That's right, the Brawling Birds are back together, and they take on Emily J and Jordan Blade, aka 2 enhancement talents that they found outside. Yeah, this was a Brawling Birds domination. Like, that wasn't even funny. And it ends with the 2 birds, 1 stone. Your winners, the Brawling Birds. You know what? I'm going to talk about that a little later. But I'm always down for a good squash match. Enhancement talent definitely did their job. And no, I'm not calling them jobbers anymore. I feel like that's a little... I don't know. That's a little mean to call these two. They're here to enhance others. Which, I'm always for that. Then we see a little footage of Swerve Strickland announcing the Jacksonville Jaguars draft pick at the NFL draft. Which, honestly, that's just some real corporate synergy. Especially now that AEW are selling NFL-branded luchador masks. In which, I'm going to say this right now, I need a Jets one. I always wanted a luchador mask. Even though I'm the whitest dude on the planet. I'm ready. Anyway, after that, we get a promo from the Triangle of Madness. Although it's just Sky Blue and Thekla. Which, I don't know where Julia Hart went. I guess she's booked elsewhere. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, so they say, this is pretty much Thekla. Brawling Birds, why are you sticking always in my business? I'm the best thing to ever happen to this division. But what happened to you? You can't handle a little toxic spider? So you guys should stick to being a tag team. And I am everything, and you are nothing. I love Thekla's energy. She is just so good. And I agree, let's get her away from the Brawling Birds for a little bit. Let's build up a new challenger somewhere. Hell, I'd even be okay with Thunder Rosa. Which, not to say that's bad. But I definitely like to see that match again. Next up, we got the international title on the line for the first time in it feels like forever. We got Kazuchika Okada defending against Inevitable Ace Austin of the Bang Bang Gang. And this, it started out a little bit slowly, but it eventually picked up. I think Okada needed a minute to adapt a little. But eventually they went real back and forth. Really good matchup. But after a beautiful dropkick from Okada, then a pile driver, which Okada using the pile driver, definitely all in on that. Finishing Ace Austin off with the Rainmaker to pick up the win. This brings out other members of the Don Callis family, including Callis. I think Hensha Zero was out there, and also Lance Archer. They begin kind of beating up Ace Austin, but then Juice Robinson comes out and helps Ace out of the ring. At that point, we see Kazuchika Okada, Konosuke Takeshita come out on the ramp, just slow clapping, hyping up their match at Double or Nothing, in which, yeah, I'm hyped for that one too. So then we get this interesting little video. So it's set in the like Wild West town. We saw the vignettes of Bandito like 2 or 3 years ago when he first debuted. And then you see the people of this town running from someone. Then we just see a bloody hand, which, that was nuts. Walks outside of whatever building he was in. Then we see on the ground a dirt-covered picture, wanted picture of Bandito. So the person bends over, picks it up. It's revealed to be Swerve Strickland. And yeah, I'm going to say injects that as soon as possible. That match would absolutely rule. So next is a very weird segment with the Death Riders. They're in their dungeon, which is what I'm going to call this area from now on. And they're like kind of screwing around a little bit. They're getting ready for something. Then through like some weird door that the camera's pointing on, in comes Will Ospreay. So Moxley turns to him and says, look who finally showed up. So Ospreay then kind of walks in. He walks past Pac, and they share a they definitely share a look. Then he goes to Mox. Mox asks, "You cleared to go?" Then Ospreay says, "No. However, I'm here to train, and I'm also going over to Japan to compete for the 6-man tag team titles." Okay? That's weird. So Moxley then replies, "Alright, you're too good to be true. Listen, what you have here right now, you need to drop it. You need to clear your vision, listen to your gut, and drop it all. You don't want any excess baggage. It's all about me, and drop it. We don't need excess baggage. When I make a commitment, I see it through to the end." Ospreay then takes another step into the dungeon and asks, "Where's the ring?" Mox then kind of smirks, and then Claudio starts taking off his shirt, and then it looks like he's unbuckling his pants, which, Claudio, slow down there, bud. Then Moxley says, "No ring. We're starting you from the ground up." Then he pushes the cameraman out, slams the door. So, here's something interesting. Here's something I kind of want to go over. It's a little consistency thing. So, Ospreay isn't cleared to compete, which, fine, whatever. But in that, you're also not, from what I understand, you're not allowed to train, and you're also not allowed to compete for other promotions. So what is Ospreay doing here? Why is he, training with the Death Riders and then also competing for a title in Japan? I don't know. I feel like that needed a little bit more explanation as to why that's okay, even though Ospreay's hurt. And I don't know, maybe why he didn't get cleared. I need a little bit more, that's all. Oh, and also, this is just a little nitpick. Obviously, there's a couple people who didn't see Collision because, I don't know, not a ton of people watch Collision. I think they should, because then they missed the segment between Ospreay and Mox, where Mox seemingly offered Ospreay a spot in the Death Riders. So, honestly, story's definitely going to be interesting. And it could go any number of ways. It could be Ospreay just joins and becomes a good little soldier. He could not join and do his own thing. He could join and then demolish the Death Riders from the inside. Either way, and then there's a bunch of other ways this could go. Either way, I'm invested. I'm ready to go. So next, we see FTR joint commentary for our next matchup. We got Christian Cage and Adam Copeland taking on RPG Vice. That's Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta. And it's definitely been a little while since I've seen any of these guys in a ring. And while they did start off a little slowly, eventually they did, they brought the intensity a little bit more. And then after we see either it was Cage or Copeland toss Rocky Romero into the ring post, it cuts to Stokely Hathaway on commentary. Then we see 3 hooded guys stand up. I immediately recognize Orange Cassidy. Then I'm like, okay, then that's got to be Kyle O'Reilly. That's got to be Roderick Strong. They all take off their disguises. And then we see Cassidy bring up a bucket of popcorn, dump it on Stokely, and then the 3 of them brawl with FTR and Stokely to the back. Which, honestly, that was hilarious. That reminded me of when Orange Cassidy first debuted in AEW, where it was a brawl between, I want to say it was Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy. It could have been someone else. Maybe it was... No, it was... I think it was Jericho and either Omega or Cody Rhodes. And they brawled in the back in the arena somewhere. They bumped into a bathroom door. And then the Orange Cassidy was just standing there. Which, I love that. That's great. That's unique. That's very Orange Cassidy. And that segment reminded me of it. Back in the ring, and things are just breaking down a little bit. One point we see Rocky Romero having Cage in an armbar. On the side he has the cast on. Eventually he does make it to the ropes. Trent tags in. Some tags. Gets some couple moves in. Eventually Cage just does break out. Tags in Copeland. Cope with a backdrop. And then a flapjack combination. An Impaler DDT. Only for a 2 count. Cope tries for a pile driver. That gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Cage attempts a spear that misses into a roll-up for a 2 count. Where the ref sees Trent has his feet on the ropes. Then Trent backs the ref in the corner, threatening him. Then Cage and Copeland with a combination pop-up spear, where your winners are Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. Then Christian Cage rolls out of the ring, grabs a couple of chairs, sets the chair up in the ring, then pulls one of the chair legs, maybe it wasn't a chair leg, but it's like that connector part in the back that has the chair fold out. Pulls that off, gives it to Copeland, who hits a crossface with that chair part in Trent's mouth. Cage then gets a microphone, says into it, "You know what to say." Then he puts it right in front of Trent's mouth. He says, "I quit." Then Cope lets him go. Cage then with a little jab right at the end saying, That's what I thought, little bitch. Which, honestly, that's just funny. That's great. Like, I love the dynamic between Cage and Copeland. These two are great together. And I'm gonna say this. I'd be a little sad if they broke up. Like, the dynamic here is just so good. I'm ready to see what they have at Double or Nothing. Then we go backstage for a Chris Jericho interview. And saying, well, with the Rico Salt, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But clearly, Ricochet just wants my attention. And before he can get another word out, Ricochet, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan at the Demand attack Jericho, just beating him down. Ricochet yelling at him, is this what you want? Tell me to leave unless you get hurt. Jericho responds, eat shit. The attack continues. Bishop Khan and Toa Leona leave. Ricochet then looks at a pile of, I want to say it's either broken tables or some sort of fiberglass or something. Looks like he's about to hit the Rico Salt, but he flips over Jericho and lands. Then he finally tells Jericho, you're not even worth my time. Now, does this mean this is the end of this feud? I personally kind of hope so. But more than likely, Jericho is going to have a rebuttal and maybe a little backup. I'm not really sure. And I don't know. Maybe this is going to be the Anarchy in the Arena match. Although more than likely, that's going to be the Death Riders and whatever face team they got. So next up, we got the women's tag team titles on the line as the Divine Dominion, which I love that name. We got Megan Bayne and Lena Cross taking on Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. A thrown together tag team, but I do think the team makes sense because they're a couple of AEW originals. So it does kind of make sense. This match was a little hard to watch early on. Shida has definitely had better matches since she's come back. This one was a little bit hard to watch. Not because it was super intense, but it was just, I don't want to say sloppy, but the chemistry definitely wasn't there to start. Eventually, when Chris Statlander tags in, it's a bit better. It's definitely better. One point, Statlander goes for the Wednesday Night Fever, but that gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Then Lena Cross with a nasty-looking flapjack. They trade moves, including an impressive dropkick by Shida off the apron. Gets her opponent back in. Tags in Statlander. Then Lena Cross with like a leg pull. I'm not sure how to explain it, but it's definitely weird. Some more good back and forth. Then a kick by Statlander, a senton, and then a blue thunder bomb by Shida. Then another kick from Shida, and a 450 by Chris Statlander, which I didn't know she had that in her. Very good. Only 2 count. Shida gets in, hits a Meteora, right into a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. She attempts the Kitana, that gets blocked into a suplex super kick combination. Shida with then a drop kick. Statlander with a suplex. Actually, no. After a blocked Kitana. Cross with the suplex. Megan Bayne with the super kick. And then Cross with a spine buster for the win and retention for the Divine Dominion. So, here's kind of my issue with this. AEW right now doesn't really have the depth to have a solid women's tag division. Divine Dominion are great. You'll have the Brawling Birds. But that's kind of it. Like, not Birds of Prey. What was Willow and why do I keep forgetting her name? Babes of Wrath. That's who I mean. Babes of Wrath are now broken up. So you really don't have that depth to really run. And you also have not Sea Stars. Who they just signed someone kind of interesting from Japan that they kind of forgotten about. So hopefully down the road we do establish more women's tag teams instead of just throwing stuff together. Anyway, go back to at least the start of an Andrade interview. Then MJF walks in saying, well, thanks to you, Darby is on his reign of terror. Why? I saw it with my own 2 eyes. You lost it. Andrade answers, how do you know? MJF then replies, man, you are a money man. You don't need to fight him. You need to... actually, this is Don Callis. You don't need to fight him. You need to focus on what's best for business. So, it does look like we are eventually getting an Andrade face turn, maybe? And then we're going to see him versus MJF pretty soon, which, yes, please. Next matchup, another squash match, which I'm always for this. We got Rush taking on Steven Fuentes, who, another enhancement talent. Steven, before the bell rings, extends his hand. Rush just beats the poor guy down. Tosses him into a few barricades. Stomps the life out of him. Gets him back in the ring. For some more stomps. The ref backs Rush up. And this is where I thought he was going to go for the fake out bullhorns. But he hits it flush for the win. Then Rush grabs a microphone, says something in Spanish that I'm not 100% sure of what it was. But then he finishes with his catchphrase, remember, when you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Which, definitely here for. I'm not sure what the plan is for Rush. Is he a potential World Heavyweight title challenger? Is he going to challenge for the TNT title? I'm not really sure. But I am excited to see where Rush goes. So next up, we see a backstage interview with the Ops. So that's Samoa Joe, Hook, Katsuyori Shibata, and their newest member, Anthony Bowens, which, honestly, I think he could be a good fit. Anyway, so Joe takes the lead saying, you want to know our game plan? The Ops are intended to assure our dominance, and we're going to do that with all 4 of these guys. And on our way to the top, that includes cooperation. And Ospreay, we know you're hanging with the Death Riders right now, but when you were fighting them, we had your back. But now you're joining them? The Ops are right here to take care of AEW. So it looks like the Ops are going to be the babyface group against the Death Riders. So, So maybe that's going to be anarchy in the arena. Maybe add on a few auxiliary members to the Ops, so it's a little bit more even. But yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Then we go to a backstage promo with FTR saying, Conglomeration, we got a proposition for you. Next week, it's going to be Orange Cassidy versus Dax Harwood in a double Jeopardy match. Now, Orange, if you win, you get a shot at the World Tag Team titles. But if Dax wins, FTR gets a trios title match. And you say, oh, we don't have any friends. We don't really have a partner. Well, we found someone willing to be our partner. Tommaso Ciampa walks in and says, I'm here for gold, and this time I'm going for the trios titles. At that point, we see Ciampa grab something out of Dax Harwood's beard, take a look at it, put it in his mouth, and eat it. A lot of people are saying it was popcorn. I'm not sure. Either way, trios match between FTR and Ciampa and the Conglomeration sounds like a ton of fun. Maybe they'll do that after Double or Nothing? I'm not sure. Anyway, we finish up AEW Dynamite with the AEW World title on the line. So we get Brody King taking on Darby Allin. Bell rings. They have a middle of the ring face off. Then they shake hands, and then they just beat the hell out of each other. Like, they have faced each other before in singles action. I think this was one of their best. Like, they made Brody look like an absolute beast in this matchup. But Darby definitely had some counters this time around. Including Brody trying to hit a Uranagi in the announce table. That gets blocked into a code red into the announce table, which that looks wild. And then at certain points we see Kevin Knight, who is up in the crowd watching the show, and then MJF is watching on the TV in the back. At that point, Brody locks in the Hangman Sleeper, but Darby eventually gets out. And then Brody locks Darby into a tree of woe. It's a chop, a nasty looking cannonball, couple of clotheslines for a 2 count, goes for a splash, misses, Darby with a couple of chops, Brody with a headbutt, then tosses him over the ropes into the cameraman. Which, I hope the cameraman's okay. Then we see Brody trying to bring Darby back into the ring. Darby then digs into the mats around ringside, pulls them up, exposing that concrete. Brody sets up Darby seated in front of the barricade. He goes for a cannonball. Darby moves. Brody then flies through the barricade into the crowd. Thankfully, no one was sitting there and no one was hurt. Darby then gets Brody back in the ring. Darby then bites Brody's hand. Brody goes for a big suplex to the outside. That gets blocked. Darby with a sunset flip powerbomb to the floor. And the exposed part of the floor. Darby then with a big old coffin drop. Darby makes it back in. Brody beats the 10 count. Then Darby with 2 coffin drops in a row. And your winner, Darby Allin. And as they're both recovering, they stand up and they shake hands post-match. Then Darby finds Kevin Knight in the crowd. They have a stare down. That's going to be the match for next week. I am AEW is making me so excited, man. I cannot wait to see not just what happens next week, but what is going to ultimately culminate at Double or Nothing. I'm ready. Yeah, AEW obviously gets an up from me. And yeah, I'm obviously excited what comes next. Speaking of what comes next up is TNA Impact Wrestling. Then we get a little video recap of what happened last week, which is nice because I missed it for some reason. I forget why. Anyway, our first matchup, we got Vincent taking on Jeff Hardy. Right before the bell rings, Jeff attacks Vincent, and I'm going to say something a little maybe inflammatory. Jeff Hardy, I think, needs to stick with tag team wrestling because they can mask his weakened abilities. Like it's clear he has his style is a little bit lesser, and he's very much slowing down, which is definitely sad to see because I'm maybe not the biggest Jeff Hardy fan, but I am a fan of the Hardy Boys. And actually, speaking of, as Vincent was about to go for his Swanton Bomb, lights go out. And when they come back on, who's standing out in the ring? It's Broken Matt Hardy. That's right, the Broken Universe is back. But then something very weird happens. The lights go out again. When they come back on, Jeff Hardy's on the top rope and Vincent is down. So we didn't see if he got attacked or they just switched for whatever reason. Jeff Hardy hits the Swanton Bomb to pick up the win. And then post-match, Dutch comes out, collects Vincent, and they're both just smiling like Cheshire cats. So, it does seem like this story is about Vincent and Dutch bringing out the broken side of the Hardys for whatever reason. Maybe it's just because. Maybe it's because they want to face them. Because they think that's the best version of the Hardys, which, debatable, but you can have your preferences. This, like I said, this match was a little awkward. The chemistry wasn't really there, and you could seriously tell Jeff Hardy was just kind of going through the motions. Anyway, we cut to backstage with Frankie Kazarian interview saying, "How am I approaching this match? I'm approaching it like any other match I've had, and there's nobody better than me. I was in the first Ultimate X match. I was in the first Steel Asylum match. I was in the first King of the Mountain X Division title match. And tonight you'll be walking with the King." So, nice little promo to hype up the main event, which, I'm going to be making some people mad at this. So next up, we got the international title on the line as Mustafa Ali defends against Adam Brooks. And this was a nice little palate cleanser. It wasn't a super long match, but they did really, really well together, with eventually Mustafa Ali hitting the 450 splash to win and retain. And I'm going to ask TNA executives this, Carlos Silva, whoever it is, sign Adam Brooks. He could really help your divisions, and he's just an incredibly talented guy. Next up, we see an outside the arena Eric Young promo, except it's like middle of the day. So it was done like maybe at noon or something. He says, "EC3, I feel like you haven't changed at all. I have. I've become more pure. But I feel like we haven't had enough. So next week we sort this out once and for all. in a no DQ match. And we're going to find out who the best man really is. Yeah, I'm down with this. We'll definitely see how that goes. Yeah, we'll see. Then we get a little hype video for Slammiversary, which is going to be in Boston. Which, Boston, you better bring it for this. This is a big event you're getting. So next up is honestly a bit of an awkward matchup, but I did enjoy it by the end. We got Mariah Sade, the returning Allie, making her return to the TNA after being killed, which that's a whole thing I'm not going under. And they're teaming with Rosemary to take on Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and Mila Moore. So, yeah, this was kind of hard to keep track of. The match was definitely fun, but it was also kind of weirdly out of order. And then it kind of just ended abruptly after Allie hit a code breaker for the win. So, I'm not sure where this story goes. Maybe we'll see Rosemary and Allie challenge for the Knockouts tag titles, while also backing up Sade on a more regular basis. I'm not sure, but either way, it's glad to see Allie back and on my TV again. We then get the TNA injury report segment, which I feel like more promotions need to implement this. Make wrestling feel a bit more lived in, you know? Then we get this. We get Santino Marella via satellite. He's either in his hotel room or he's at home. And he says, got some big news. I'm no longer suspended. I see a lot of business being made by Daria Ray. But I am clearly cleared of all charges. Santino is back. And now there's no more nonsense. Like I saw last week where Daria Ray made the 4-on-2 handicap match. Well, tonight I'm making a new match. We're going to see Moose and Slater take on Eddie Edwards and Cedric Alexander. Then next week we're going to see Casey Navarro and Nick Nemeth go for the tag team titles against Bear Bronson and Brian Myers. But with this case, I had a big old star witness. She was suspended too, but now she's back. It's Indy Hartwell. And instead of coming into the shot with Santino, she is in the arena, which I don't think that should happen. So she pretty much says, I'm back in business. Can you believe Santino and I were suspended? I'm so glad the board listened to us instead of Daria. But I still have unfinished business with Grace. Title or no title, Grace, I'm coming for you first. So, very clear goals for Indy Hartwell. We'll see how that goes, because we got some news about Indy on this show too. Then we go backstage for a Mike Santana promo, where he says, me and Rich Swann last week showed what it means to represent TNA. We are proud to wear these letters on our person. Then almost immediately, Nick Nemeth walks in. He's holding his, I want to say it's like Gauntlet for the Gold, whatever it is, trophy. And he says, well, I got that tag team title match next week. This is always the goal. And by the end of whenever, I'm going to be holding not only the tag team titles, but the world title as well. And you'll be left with nothing. So, Nick Nemeth very clearly has his goals. We'll see if we can set them. We then get a nice little lockdown hype video Apparently, it's been 10 years since the last lockdown event, which that is absolutely nuts. And while I did enjoy Lockdown, especially for Lethal Lockdown, which is essentially war games, it's definitely good to see Lockdown come back. So then we see Daria Ray. She's in her office, and she's on the phone with something, talking about Santino's and Indy Hartwell's status in the company. Then she hangs up, gets up, immediately walks into Indy Hartwell, says, hey there, Daria. It's good to be back here. So then Daria turns to her and says, while you may be back for now, I need to remind you your contract is coming up soon, so tread lightly. Oh, them's fighting words. I'm wondering if we're going to see Daria Ray in a ring at some point. Because I'd be all for that. Next up is the biggest joke match I've ever seen. It's Mr. Elegance. And yes, that is his in-ring name. Because he's a part of the Elegance brand. Which, I don't know. That seems a little bit out of cuff. As he's taking on the Hometown Man. And you see why I really didn't take this seriously. They definitely had some good wrestling, but eventually we see the Elegance brand interfering, especially near the end with Ash distracting Hometown Man with her body. And what he does is hilarious. He takes his entrance cap mask combination and stuffs it in her mouth at first, and then puts it on her head, which I love that. Then Mr. Elegance grabs the Hometown Man, hits a reverse DDT for the win. That was pretty much the comedy match of the evening. And while I don't mind comedy matches, I don't know what that's going to lead to. If Hometown Man is eventually going to get a group of his up. But, that's going to be weird. Then we see, in some recesses of the arena, Sade, Allie, and Rosemary. They're talking about what's coming next.
I found this on the web.
Stop it. Rosemary coming in last, saying, you don't lose focus. Let's focus on what's next. Then Allie, like a little weirdo, saying, I like to bite people's faces off. Then Allie and Rosemary kind of surround Sade, asking, one last question. How do you like the dead? And then she says, I dig it. Then we see Allie and Sade kind of start dancing around a little. And as they go off screen, you kind of have Rosemary saying, no, not doing that. She then starts moving her body a little bit. And then Sade and Allie come back and just surround her and hype her up. Which, I'm going to say that I have missed the Allie Rosemary combination, because you have the happy-go-lucky Allie and then the humdrum Rosemary, but it works so well. It's such a great combination. So then we see Li Yingli. She's in a bar somewhere, which you don't see that many outside the ring spots like this. Interviewer comes over and asks, you've asked for this time, what's going on? Then she says through tears, I don't want this shot anymore. I think I'm going to go talk to Santino. I want to go back home to China. So then this brings in Tommy Dreamer, of all people. who says, look, I get you're going through something right now. You need your mental health to be there. But remember, you represent everyone who doesn't give up. And you're going to go out there and win the title. Everyone here and in the arena and at home believes in you. And now you need to believe in you too. So Li Ying wipes her eyes of tears and says, thank you. Yes, I'm going to win. And they share a little hug together. I'm going to say this, I liked that little moment. Well, I would have liked to see someone other than Tommy Dreamer. I get it. It's a veteran comforting, maybe not a rookie, but a younger talent. So, yeah, that was a very kind of real moment. Like, I've seen plenty of people in my day break down like that just want to quit. And then somebody else comes up and motivates them to keep going. And honestly, I think sometimes all of us need that. And it's a nice little segment, a little real life mixing with my fiction, which I'm all for. So next up, head back to the ring for a Leon Slater promo. And I'm going to tell you, I had a hard time keeping up what this guy said. Because he's a fast talker. And I don't know if that's like a British thing. But yeah, he needs to slow it down a little bit. So he says, day by day, I'm getting closer to breaking history again. As Leon Slater becomes not only the youngest X Division champion, but the longest reigning X Division champion of all time. But now I have to shift and talk about Cedric Alexander. Gets a plethora of boos. And Slater continues, he refers to himself as Prime Cedric. He hasn't been in his prime since grade school, which, that's a great burn. That's great. He continues, he pinned me in tag action not long ago. But mate, if you wanted another opportunity, it's another opportunity you'll receive. And I've trained for a moment like this. Cedric, I've beaten you twice already. And I can beat you again. This brings out Cedric Alexander. No other members of the system, but we'll get to that. He says, Leon, you're a child and a fake champion. I deserved this shot. And while you'll be recognized as the longest champion, in 2 weeks it's going to be you versus me one more time, and there will be no excuses. But that's if you can make it that far. At that word, the rest of the system attack Slater from behind. Moose comes out and fights them off. Then it looks like he's about to spear Alicia Edwards, but Eddie pulls her out of the ring. Which, I don't know. This kind of feels like it's pushing Leon Slater into the background again. I feel like he needs to stand on his own for a little while longer. And also, TNA, let's get some more X Division guys in here. It kind of feels like you're a little light on X Division style guys. So next up, we go backstage to Ryan Nemeth venting to somebody about him not getting an opportunity for the tag titles along his brother. And he feels left out. And why am I not getting opportunities? The camera pans, and you see AJ Francis and he are sitting on opposite ends of a Keenan and Kel style couch. And if you get that reference, thank you. If you don't, there was a show called Keenan and Kel back in the day where their entrance included a very orange couch That's all you really need to know. So then Ryan goes to put his hand on AJ's leg. AJ's like, brother, don't touch me. And let me say something. Everything you just complained about, you and your brother did to me a year ago. And while I don't care about the Nemeth family drama, you leave KC to me. So it does look like we're getting some kind of alliance between AJ Francis and Ryan Nemeth, me? I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, a jealousy angle. It's a little basic, but I can get behind it. And fine, Alamo, we got our main event for TNA Impact, and it's a Walk with Elijah match. Now, what this entails is overly complicated and should not be attempted again. So, it starts off backstage. It really started off in some corridor right off the ring. Elijah and Frankie then will be chained together with a very extremely long guitar strap. They then need to go down to the ring and then when they're in the ring, they need to touch four corners to win, which I hate that stipulation. That might be the dumbest stipulation in wrestling, and it needs to go away. Anyway, so they get connected backstage. Frankie then takes his jacket off. The strap falls loose. But then the ref hooks Frankie back up. And then it's off to the races. And they just start beating the heck out of each other in the back. But you can clearly see the arena roof. So it's clearly just some sort of side hallway somewhere. Eventually they do make it to ringside, where Elijah hits the old school sunset flip bomb, touches 3 turnbuckles, and then gets strapped from Kazarian. Elijah then Kaz clotheslines Elijah over the top rope, and then Elijah pulls him down with him. They keep hitting each other with the strap. One point we see Kaz lock in the crossface chicken wing, but then Elijah stays up, hits the first 3 buckles, and then fails to reach the 4th one. Kaz eventually lets go. He goes for the old school sunset flip. That gets immediately intercepted with an Elijah knee. Couple more strap shots. Kaz with a backstabber. Gets to the 3rd turnbuckle. Then Elijah trips up Kaz with the strap. Then the strap just kind of rips in half. So eventually they do fight through it. Elijah with the strap choke hits the Highwayman's Farewell, which is a great name for a finisher. Hits the first 3 buckles. Kaz grabs him and stops it. Elijah then picks up his guitar, hits Kaz with it, but then it just hits the one corner for the win. So this is why I don't like this stipulation. The whole tag 4 corners stipulation. Because it's supposed to be in succession. Like 1, 2, and then you get stopped. You gotta start over. And now, I just gotta hit this one to win. It's I don't know. It's structured bad. It's not a fun stipulation. I want to see people either get pinned or get submitted. Or even get put into a casket. I'd take that. This was a very hard match for me to watch. Not just because I hate the whole tagging the turnbuckle stipulation, which needs to die. Like, die. But also, these two just do not mesh well. I do hope we get some new feuds for these two, and we can finally just be done with this. Overall, Impact was overall fine. Besides the opening matchup and the closing matchup, nothing really was horrible. But honestly, that main event was so unwatchable. It wasn't even funny. So overall, TNA was pretty okay this week. And that leads us to NWA Power Part Numero Uno. And I say Part Numero Uno because they're going to be on a little later tonight at 10 p.m. on Comet, which for me is actually on TV, which is awesome. Can't wait to watch that. And then we're going to have another episode of on Comet on Saturday at like 4 p.m. So that's going to be interesting. So first off, leading us off is a World Heavyweight title #1 contenders match between Dr. Vic, who's like the psychiatrist trying to stalk Tiffany Nieves, taking on Wrecking Ball Legursky. And originally, Wrecking Ball wrecked Dr. Vic. It looked like he was about to really just destroy this guy. Dr. Vic did get some stuff in, including a poorly timed headbutt. Wrecking Ball then just goes back to destroying him. Dr. Vic with some punches, but they were the weakest punches known to man. Wrecking Ball with a big splash in the corner. Goes for another one on the outside, but Dr. Vic moves, so Wrecking Ball hits the ring post. Dr. Vic gets back in, and at that point, Wrecking Ball's counted out. So your winner and moving on to gain the World Heavyweight title is Dr. Vic. Huh? I did not see that coming. So at that point, Tiffany Nieves comes out, and she's like, she's got a look of what the fuck happened on her face. Like, this wasn't part of the plan. So Vic sees her. He gets out of the ring. They start talking for a little bit. Tiffany has a very fake smile on her face. Then Dr. Vic goes in for a hug. Tiffany puts a hand on her chest and backs him off. So I need this to end very, very soon. So then we see Dr. Vic and Tiffany in the back. Tiffany is trying to show Dr. Vic how to cut a wrestling promo, telling him he needs to have confidence. Dr. Vic goes to start. Thrillbilly Silas Mason then comes in. And he starts with the most normal, calm voice I think I've ever heard him have. Saying, "Oh, you're hyping our match here? Let me show you how to cut a promo." And then immediately he goes into promo mode, which says, "Dr. Vic, I'm going to break every bone in your body. Every moment is going to be agony. And when your family sees what I've done to you, they're going to cry." And then he walks off with Dr. Vic with the most stunned look on his face. Honestly, that was a great bit of personality from Thrillbilly. Like that, he can just turn that on is just, it's impressive. If you're not watching Thrillbilly, you're missing out. This dude is a 5-tool player. He knows what he's doing, and I'm low-key rooting for him. Next up, we got a tag team match player. And yes, I did bring a little Theodore along to it. As we got the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, taking on the Rewind Society. And I finally figured out the names of these guys. One of them is named Sammy something or other. The other guy is named VHS, which, yes, very good. So Sammy and Doc Gallows started off. Sammy starts dancing. Doc with a couple big old clotheslines. And then a big strike to the jaw. VHS tags in. He starts dancing. Then Doc goes for a choke slam. Couple of strikes. Tags in Doc Gallows. Double shoulder tackle. Some chops. They go back, tagging in and out for a while. A neck breaker for Sammy. And then a magic killer for VHS to pick up the win. So yeah, Good Brothers are definitely all ready for the Crockett Cup. Then we get this very interesting interaction between the Colognes, Primo and Epico, and the Country Gentlemen. So that's Joe, AJ, and Casey Kazana. Then Joe pretty much takes the lead, saying about how the Colognes made a great run in the Crockett Cup last year. And I've known your dad for 40 years. Talking about Carlos Colon. That's a little bit of a deep cut. Is he still going? I don't think so. Then he calls the territory in Puerto Rico one of the worst places in the world. So then, I think it's Primo who's on the mic. I'm not sure, because they look very alike. And he says, I got respect for the Kazana family, but there's a couple of differences between us. The people who knows us, knows we are from Puerto Rico, and you guys got eliminated so early from the cup that we forgot you were in it. And coming up to this year's cup, we're gonna win it all. So then Joe takes the mic back, says, well, the one thing you don't have is the Kazana legacy. While you did make it to the finals last year, you won't get past us. So then Epico takes the microphone and says, while I don't like to hit old people, I'm not against it. You get in our way, we'll take you out, old man. So, a threat to Joe Kazana. So, here's something interesting. Primo and Epico do have one more family member that is not in the WWE anymore. And that'd be cool. If you don't know, I'm talking about Carlito. And I feel like he could be the perfect counter to Joe Kazana. Like, imagine Carlito biting into an apple and spitting it right into Joe Kazana's face. I think that would get a great reaction from people. Anyway, then we go backstage to a Tiffany Nieves promo. It's pretty much the entirety of TV and MA. And Tiffany says, I'm looking at the new girl, Giselle Shaw, who can't mind her own business. So next week, I'm putting my TV title on the line. So you better bring it. Then we get a weird hybrid hype video / promo from the Immortals. Talking about it doesn't matter what team gets put in our way, we're going to win. Then we get a nice little NWA History Highlights video, which I really enjoy that. Next up, we had Serena Vio teaming up with Haley J to take on Kenzie and Kylie Page of Pretty Empowered. And off the bat, they just brawl. Like, these two teams really do not like each other. Eventually, Vale and Kaylee start off the match. Have a nice little back and forth moment here. Vio tags in, and she is so intense. Like, she nearly kicked Kylie's head off. Kenzie tags in, hits a big old DDT, goes for a suplex. That gets blocked into a suplex from Veal. Then Haley J with a big old shining wizard for a 2 count. Kenzie with a clothesline over the top. They go for a tower cutter, which I don't think I've ever seen them do, but that gets blocked. Kenzie tosses Haley J to the outside, dives after her. After an attempted powerbomb by Kylie, Serena blocks it. It's a big old Rana, and then hits the bloodbath, which is like a interesting adaptation of the Sister Abigail, to not only win it for her team, but to get Kenzie Page's women's title shot. So, that's going to be interesting. And actually, Natalia Markova in her promos brings that up. She says, I saw you secure your spot for the Crockett Cup. If you want to be on my top, you got to beat me. And I'm going to continue to prove I'm the best and remind you why they call me the Crush. Which is a great little tagline. I love that. Next up, this weird matchup. So it is a Shanghai Stick lethal ladder match. Basically, it's a kendo stick on a pole match. That's what this is. Between Eric Smalls and Daisy Gill. And Daisy, once the bell rings, brings out a mini ladder. Sets it up, act like he's going to the top rope to get it. Get the kendo stick. Smalls takes one step towards him. Daisy bails. They do a little ringer up the Rosie around a full-size ladder. Eric Smalls with a drop toe hold. Goes for the Bronco Buster. Missed. Then Daisy Gill drags Eric Smalls into the ring post. Tosses him right into the ring step. It looked like Eric Smalls was going under the ring for something. But then he goes fully under, which we don't really get to see. Then we see, while Daisy Gill was looking for him, a kendo stick poking out of the ring. They have a little tug of war. Eric Smalls with a low blow. Couple of stick shots. Actually, Eric Smalls goes for a low blow with the kendo stick. Daisy Gill grabs it with his thighs. Then he goes for some stick shots, wiggling around with his legs. That misses. Eric Smalls pushes Daisy Gill into the ring post. He gets the kendo stick back, gives him some shots. Gets him back in the ring, hits a worm into a leg drop. Smalls goes up, grabs the other kendo stick. Then Daisy Gill grabs Smalls' leg, hits a low blow on his own, rolls him up for the win. Okay, a ladder match that ends in pinfall? Dude, you guys need to up your level on match stipulations. Because I don't think I've ever seen a ladder match end in pinfall. That was so jarring. Post-match, Daisy Gill attacks Smalls, and that's it. I hope this is it for this rivalry. Let's just go back to the Daisy Gill Open Challenge so we can just be done with this. That legitimately made my head hurt. That wasn't fun. I can tell you Daisy Kill is a better wrestler than this. And he deserves way better. As does Eric Smalls, honestly. Anyway, we go backstage for a Serena Vale promo saying, I beat Kenzie for this title shot. Markova, you better watch your neck. I'm coming for that gold. Nice, easy, to the point. Very good. And we get our main event, which I cannot believe I'm saying this about the NWA main event, as it's for the NWA World Heavyweight title, as Dr. Vic challenges Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And we start with a little pose off as Vic is going into a karate stance. Thrillbilly then looks like he's about to do a crane kick. Vic goes in for some ineffective strikes. Then Thrillbilly just kind of yells at him. Vic rolls out. We have a little chase until Thrillbilly comes back, sees Miss Star, takes her hand. Is that something that's going to be interesting? That's going to be expanded upon. They get back in. Vic with a strike. Goes for a chop. That gets caught. Then Thrillbilly puts Dr. Vic's shirt over his head. Hits a chop on his bare chest. Which, that looked and sounded brutal. Then he bends him over his knee and spanks him once. Which, I completely hated that. Another chop. Then he grabs Dr. Vic by the beard and throws him with his beard. Which, I've never seen that before. Thrillbilly then with a body slam for a 2 count. Then, as Thrillbilly is distracted with the rest of TVMA on the outside, Dr. Vic somehow takes off his belt and chokes the Thrillbilly with it, locking in a sleeper, but Thrillbilly counters out, and that's when Thrillbilly takes this seriously. Dr. Vic attempts a super kick, that gets caught. Then Thrillbilly with a big old thrill ride to win and retain his title. That was the weirdest match of all time, maybe. Like Dr. Vic, this needs to be the end of Dr. Vic for a while. Don't bring him back until at least after the Crockett Cup. Maybe even longer. Anyway, so Thrillbilly gets on the microphone, says, it's come to my attention that Brian Idol is the next man up for the World Heavyweight title. I don't know what he has on William Patrick Corgan and how he's getting these opportunities, but it's a waste of opportunity on talent like him. And Billy, I couldn't give a damn what you want. You made the blood spill from my head, Brian. That's a sin that won't be forgiven. At the Crockett Cup, y'all gonna watch them raise the cup. And Brian, when you stand in the ring with me, you will die. And at the end of the night, I'll still be your World Heavyweight Champion. I love Thrillbilly Silas Mason so much. He's so intense. He's got the athletic ability. Hell, he's even got the look. I cannot help but cheer for this man. This man is everything you want a pro wrestler to be. And seeing him wrestle against Brian Idol again, I kind of agree with him. But I'm willing to see this out. Match itself was a big box of nothing. Dr. Vic played as well as punching bag. But ultimately, that was not a serious challenge. So, hopefully after Idol, we get a more interesting challenge for Thrillbilly. So, that'll do it for this week. I hope you all enjoyed. Coming on Monday, I'm going to be reviewing the first 2 nights of NWA Power on Comet, which is their brand new channel they're going to be on. You can watch it on cable. You can watch it on demand online. So, if you don't want to miss out, it's tonight at 10 and then Saturday at 4, which, very weird times, but I'm in it. And, then I'll probably end up covering Collision as well. Stay tuned for that. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.